The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, lads and lasses, and welcome to Hey Ho Let's Go on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. It's the only, presently, pre-game Newcastle United podcast. Now, we haven't quite figured out whether that's a good thing or not, but maybe if you stick with us until kick-off, you might discover the answer yourself. So, my name is Roger, the man who probably still thinks that Nobby Solano is the greatest player to ever lace up a pair of boots for Newcastle United. And joining us today, pre-game, in a very nervous pre-game, is Scott and Dan. And if you weren't already nervous, well, I'm sure you'll have seen the team news already. That'll have turned that dial up to 11, I would imagine. And without question, it's a proper, massive game today at the Emirates between second place Arsenal and third place Newcastle. Of course, playing for all those Champions League chips. And a chance, hopefully, to make the Everton game at St James's Park next week about as unimportant as Steve Bruce's 1,056 games in football management, but who knows? So please join in with the comments. I'm sure there'll be loads, hopefully. We'll try and get as many of you on the screen as possible with your predictions, with your reactions. I'm sure there'll be plenty. And anything that really helps get rid of that nervous energy. I don't know if you can sense it coming through the screen, but my pre-game energy is pretty high at the minute. So thank heavens I'm not sailing these choppy waters by myself, though. I've got Scott and obviously Dan down there. So Scott, our man in Amsterdam, you're usually cool, calm, collected. You know, you're usually confident. So how's things your end this morning or this afternoon?
I was until I saw the lineup. I mean, I think we've had a comment in from Jax about he's saying that Isak's been injured for ages and we all knew it. I don't think he's been injured as such, but he hasn't been 100%. I think it's probably what we're getting at really. When we look at the lineup in just a minute, we'll see for those who haven't seen it, but I think everyone probably has now that he's not even on the bench. I don't even think. Although I do think he's travelled with the side, which is strange. There's been rumours that he's been seen travelling with the side, so that's obviously been quite a late call from Eddie Howe on that one. But I'm not as confident as I was in the match preview. Let's say that. It's I don't know. I mean, only time's going to tell now.
Tell me about
because to kind of phrase, I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
Now because it's going to be interesting.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you joining us again, Scott. And Dan, who's momentarily disappeared, his computer's thinking about it.
Yes.
Is he coming back? Let's just crack on. So, while we wait for Dan to sort his Tinterweb out, maybe he's put another 50 pence in the meter. There he is. Thank you for joining us, Dan. Thank you. The man who knows more about football tactics than Pep Guardiola knows about fashionable roll neck sweaters. How are you feeling this morning, mate? Because I'm on the edge, mate. I'm on the edge. Help us out. Oh, he's there. Is he frozen?
Oh, I think
he's gone. Right. I tell you what. Let's move on. Let's get on to the team lineups, and we'll see if Dan can sort his Tinterweb out.
Before we jump in, let's look at the chat. Let's see who's in. So we've got Blue Rhythm Boy as always. So what's that silver pot? How was holding in the opening credits? I think we all know what that was. Blue Rhythm Boy. We've got Paul saying I read Roger. Paul William.
I read son.
A few of our own. Looks like we've got Chris on Amy's phone. I'm guessing Amy's driving back. They've been away.
Oh, and Filey. Beautiful Filey. Beautiful beach down there.
I've got Joe as well.
I've spent many happy days down on Filey Beach. Gorgeous place.
He's asking a question, which we might as well save for later on. I'll put a little star on that. We'll come back to that question, Joe, about how we're going to adapt to Wilson being on top. let's just turn that off for a moment while we've lost Dan. And yeah, we've got Chris again. And then Old Angry Noob Gamer. Not as confident as we were in the preview, but I think looking at the lineup, which we'll jump to now, let's just switch
let's go for it.
to the lineup. There we go. And I'm just going to put a little background on this so it doesn't look as dark as it has been.
So, should we go to the obvious one first, or should we go from the back to the front, Scott? What do you reckon?
I mean, we can't not talk about the big elephant in the room, and that's with Isak not being.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it. So
that's the one. So
Scott, come on, I'll hand over to you. What's your initial reaction to that? Isak, obviously not even on the bench today. Yeah, take it away, mate. Help me out.
I mean, as Jack's mentioned in the chat, he hasn't maybe been. I don't think he's been injured. Like I've said, I think he's not been 100%. And he's quite clearly not been fit enough to play. It was interesting. I don't think Howe even mentioned it in the press conference. So it's come as a surprise. It's come as a surprise to everyone. But Wilson's going for, is it 150 goals or 200 goals? It's something
I think it might be 150. I'm sure I heard in the last one he's looking for his 150th.
So he's got that to play for, and let's not put it down on Wilson. He should be back 100% fit. Maybe he hasn't seemed fully right when he's come on, but I don't think he's that type of player who can maybe impact games anymore. He's not an impact sub. You want to be on that pitch from the get-go, and he knows where the goal is.
Yeah.
So I'm still positive Callum Wilson can score a goal. He can hold up play. It's just how will he deal with the defence of Arsenal? And the physicality of the defence with Arsenal. We'll have to see, but we're going to need more from the midfield than ever.
Yeah. Do you think Wilson's, his canniness in terms of getting around that Kiwo? Is it Kiwo? I don't know how to say his name, but the Polish defender, he's got to target him, hasn't he? Surely he's got to try and get close to there. Oh, hello, Dan. He's here.
I'm back. Sorry about that. The internet just sort of failed on us, so I've had to move room. This isn't my house, obviously. A background's been put on. Well, I just want to get back on before I ruin everything.
Of all of the backgrounds, did you?
I know. It's just the piano in the background.
Yeah,
it's brand new. It's brand spanking.
It's casual. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna be relying on Wilson. Dan, I'll just quickly come to you. Thanks for joining us, like I said before. But Wilson's gonna have to have probably the game of his Newcastle career today to see us through, isn't he? Do you think he's got the capabilities? Do you think he's going to do it now?
Well, I think he's got the experience. He's played in massive games for us in the past, usually to stop us from getting relegated, opposed to actually get us into the Champions League. That being said, when we did have our Champions League running last time, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
A long time has passed since then. He's probably lost a couple extra yards in his hamstrings as well, which is a bit of a shame. I think we're going to have to adapt to how we play a little bit, opposed to having someone with Isaac's pace up there and trickery and a little bit of guile.
Yeah.
But Wilson, I still think Wilson is a great finisher.
Yeah.
I still think if you give the ball to him in the box, he's really likely to make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
He's proved that in the past, especially the fact that he's our third highest goal scorer in Premier League history. Obviously not ever. Whilst most of his appearances coming under that Steve Bruce team, if he can score goals in a Steve Bruce team, he can score goals in an Eddie Howe team. And I appreciate it. Like I say, he's not quite the same player, but all of the players behind him are way better than that Steve Bruce team. So if players like Tino and Tonali can get him the ball in the box, give him some actual service.
Yeah.
And I've watching him play recently, he's pointing, he's wanting the ball in particular areas, and he's not quite been given it. So I do think it's a little bit of both, where he's not overly impressed, but the team haven't done anything to help him.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if they've known that Isaac's been out all week or however long they've known this for, then they've had a little bit of time to prepare specifically for Wilson up top. And like I say, if he gets the ball in that box, I back him.
Yeah. I
think
feel
Blue
like
Ribbon Boys made a good point in the chat here, Roger, about him. Wilson played against Liverpool when we drew 3-3. It was at St James's Park, but he did have the handbrake on in that game too, because we were keeping things to himself before the final.
But didn't he? I thought in the 3-3 Isaac played because Isaac scored.
He started.
He started and scored. Isaac. We got beat 2-0 away, and Wilson played, and he missed a couple of chances, didn't he? But I think it was his first start in a long time.
Yeah.
He hadn't really made many appearances off the bench, and you could tell that he was rusty.
Yeah, I think
so,
when you have something like this that kind of, it feels like it's just happened now. Do you know what I mean? Whether Eddie Howe knew about this at all, or whether it was something that was in the background, have the team already prepared for a possible absence of Isak if he has been carrying an injury. There's a huge onus now on Gordon, Barnes, Murphy, Tonali, all of those key players. They've really, this is a huge opportunity for them to really step up. Gordon's not been at his best since he's come back. He showed in Brighton, when he came on, he changed the game. I don't think it should change our attitude and outlook towards the game from a playing sense. We're going to have to tactically play into Wilson's strengths, like you said before, Scott, about his ability to hold the ball up. And really, Wilson's just got to get, to coin a phrase like Andy Townsend would use, in and around those centre halves and really be a massive pain in the arse, really bring the shithousery to another level, to really unsettle Arsenal. Because this, if you're an Arsenal fan going into the stadium now, you're like, oh, Isak isn't playing. That's going to really get the heckles up. So, it's on us now to all of those players in black and white plus Pope to kind of really step up. And I feel like they can, if they weather the early storm. I feel like we can. So, Scott, let's just for a minute, let's go further back in the team. How do you think we're going to line up? Obviously, we've got that presence of Barnes, Gordon, and Murphy. So, is it a return to that the formation from last week, or are we going to see Dan Burn at left back?
I think it's the same as what we had last week. I think we'll have Livramento on the left, and you'll have Murphy as a inverted wing back, as it would be, playing alongside. I don't know if you'll play Barnes or Gordon on that left, because neither of them particularly do that well. But I'm of the opinion that maybe you might see Gordon drift in a bit and support Wilson as almost like a 10.
Yeah.
In some cases as well. It'll depend on the game's going, really. If that's the case, then I'd probably think you'll see Gordon on the right.
Yeah.
Because then you'll have Murphy on the left, Murphy on the right with him, who can then fill in when Gordon's maybe drifting into the middle a bit. And then you've got Barnes with Livramento, who've been linking up really well all season. The problem is, will they get the chances to do that against Arsenal? Who are really good. Obviously, we're all going on about the news, about Isak being out the team. There's also some really good news in this team, and that Botman's fit.
Yeah.
And Botman's playing. Because we all thought, and it was all doom and gloom earlier this week when we thought Botman was out for the rest of the season. It seems like it wasn't as bad as the press were making it out to be. And he's starting, and he's in there, and he's fit enough to start. So, to go back to your question, I think it's just the same as what we had last week. And like we said in this very, pre-match show last week, it was prep for this game. And it was very much, on one hand, a forced hand because of the people available to him. But on the other hand, you got two very important games. And we saw how well it worked last week. Even though we didn't have much possession, it's probably going to be a very similar game where if we can get them early or we can get them on a bit of a counter-attack, that's how we're going to hurt Arsenal. Different scenario because we are playing away. It's tough at the Emirates, but we've beat them 3 times already this season.
Why not?
Can we do it a fourth? Why not? Why
Dan,
not?
Dan, coming to you. I mean, do you think, obviously talking about, the Arsenal fans going into the stadium there, when Mikel Arteta's, picking up his 7 screw-in light bulbs and his pipe cleaners and his whatever sticky back plastic to come and do like a team presentation. Do you think that they will have suspected that Isak was injured and would have been playing with an injury, and this might have maybe thrown them off a little bit, or would it have given them more encouragement, expecting them to play, and that, oh, he's not brilliant? I don't know.
Well, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's definitely going to have thrown them off because Wilson will be playing differently to how Isaac would have been. But any team sheet without him in, defenders are going to go, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Our lives are just infinitely easier now. But I think when you look at how Crystal Palace played yesterday against Man City, for anyone that watched the game, a lot of it was no messing around, get it into Mateta, who is just a mountain of a man up front. You'll hold it up and you'll just pop it off into sort of one of the 2-10s, or a lot of the time it was Munoz out wide, and they got so much joy from doing that sort of game kind of suits Wilson a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if we can get it into him, and then he can get it off to either one of the wing backs or into Barnes or Gordon, and then they've got the legs, those 4 players essentially, be it Tino or Murphy as well. If they've got the legs, Wilson's just then got to get back into the box. That's all he's got to do, and hopefully finish something off. And that's going to be something that perhaps Arsenal hadn't prepared for. So I think they'll be happy that Isaac isn't playing. They'll be delighted. But I also think that it doesn't really matter too much from our perspective, because we'll have a game plan to suit the fact that it's Wilson, not Isaac. Yeah. We aren't going to play the same way as if it was Isaac, because him and Wilson are just chalk and cheese for their play styles.
Yeah. Scott, I suppose big question for you. Where is this game going to be won and lost?
I mean, you always say the midfield when it comes to us. I think it's going to be the same, really. We were playing with 3 centre-backs for a reason. Arsenal, you'd imagine, I mean, we'll look at their lineup now, actually. I'll bring it up because that's another big one as well, because, they haven't had a named striker all season, and the person they'd been using, we mentioned this in the preview earlier this week, the person that they have been using, Mourinho, was sent off, so he's not playing. So I would imagine if it's not Martinelli, which I don't think it will be, it's probably going to be Trossard that's going to play down the middle, who again is a round square peg in a round hole. They're going to be relying on Saka, Martinelli, and Odegaard really up there. So you're looking at Rice and Partey versus Bruno and Tonali. That's going to be really your centre midfield battle, if you will. And then you've got that Lewis Skelly, who's really good as well, kind of causing a nuisance in and around that midfield. And on the, well, he's a, what is he, a left back, right back? I can't remember what side he plays, but he's also going to cause us a bit of a nuisance.
He's a left back, Skelly.
Left back, there we go. Yeah, I just pray that, the fact that they are also fitting players in where they necessarily shouldn't be in certain areas, and I'm not saying all over the field, they've gone really strong here, could be a problem, but I just kind of look past that centre midfield, and I think we've got the personnel to maybe get one over on them. I know, I'm not saying that Partey and Rice aren't bad players. They are world-class players and they're there for a reason. Rice is just coming back from, was it an injury or was he suspended, Daniel?
He was injured. Yeah, he was
injured. I thought he'd pulled his hammy, hadn't he? Is that his problem?
Don't know if that's so the case, back, so that could be interesting to see how well he does. Because it's going to be a physical game with Bruno and Tonali in that midfield. They're not going to. I mean, you would pray Joe Linton would be in this lineup, but obviously he's not quite ready yet. But that'll be interesting to see how he deals with it. Because if he has to come off, who they got on the bench? Havertz, Jorginho, wouldn't it? So
Jorginho,
come on, and Bruno probably won't like him coming on.
Yeah, I think Havertz could come on, and he's obviously played as an 8. At times for Arsenal. I think he was bought for that reason initially. It just so happens that I think Jesus got injured and they didn't have any more strikers up there. You would think Arteta would prefer to bring him on up front, though, just given the fact that this is his first game back from a really bad injury as well. He's been out since the trip to Dubai that they went on in January, which I think might have been around our League Cup win over them. So it's not ideal if they are going to bring him on in midfield, but it's something that they could do. I agree. I think that midfield battle is going to be really juicy. Look, I can't stand Thomas Partey. I think he's an awful person, but as a footballer, they play so much better with him than without him.
Yeah.
He is a bit of a tank in there. Liable for a mistake, though, if you can press him. He's not a press-resistant holding midfielder at all. He's just a bit of a destroyer, got a decent shot on him. So if you can get at him, I suppose the thing is for us is in the home game when we played 5 at the back against Arsenal, Fabian Schär did a job on Declan Rice. He just stood on him all game.
Yeah,
so
come out of the game.
Played as a defensive number 10. It was really bizarre, but it worked a treat. Will we be doing that again? A, because, would Arteta have figured it out? But B, playing that way really suited Isaac. Will it suit Wilson? I'm not sure. I do think Wilson is quite good at pressing, though. Like, his pressing numbers before his previous injury were really, really good. So it could be that we play that way again. And it's nice that we've probably got a couple of routes to scoring goals. It's something that I'm unfamiliar with for Newcastle teams. It's normally we know what's going to happen, and it's just got to hope and pray that the other team don't.
Yes.
But this way, it's good. It's good that we're all a little bit in the dark. I think that's nice.
Yeah.
It means that Arteta's going to have much more difficulty guessing what's going to happen.
Hopefully. Scott, how do you think we're going to come out the traps? Do you think we're going to come out patient? Do you think we're going to go at them? Do you, how it's got a real, it's a real interesting conundrum to kind of figure out which route do you think is going to go down, for that first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes.
I think you have to come at them. I think that's the only way you can do, really, especially when you've made such a big change like what we have done with Wilson over Isak, and changing. It's a change in system. Obviously, I know we played it last week, but it's a change of what we normally do. You kind of want to just catch them off guard completely and have them thinking on their feet, going, okay, how they're playing, what they're going to do here. Similar to what we did against Chelsea, try and get that very, very early goal. I appreciate we're not going to score within 3 minutes. I mean, I'd love it to, and I'd love it to do that, but they're in there, they're at home. You'd expect them to come out all guns blazing, but you've kind of got to try and nullify that, try and silence the crowd pretty quickly. And the easiest way you can do that is to just get at them nice and quick, try and get on attack, try and win the ball high up the pitch and get at them, get a couple of shots off, and if you can, try and get a goal, try and win a corner, something just to get you just get you radged up and get them just on the back foot a little bit to think, all right, okay, they're not playing safe because Isak's not on the pitch. They're going for it as much as we want to go for it. We've got to be careful here. But also, you've also got to be a little bit cautious in defence. Like, I don't want to see Fabian Schär down burn up and, past the halfway line the first 15 minutes, because you don't want to be leaving yourself exposed. And I'm sure Eddie Howe doesn't want to be doing that. But you've just got to be optimistically disciplined, I think would be the way to put it.
Ooh, wow.
I'm sure that's what Eddie Howe wants them to be doing.
Stick that on a t-shirt and mark at that. I am optimistically disciplined. I like it.
Sounds like Neil Warnock. Enjoy it, lads.
Enjoy it, but fucking have it, be disciplined.
Enjoy it by being disciplined. Yeah.
So
get you in the change room, Scott.
I think so. Dan, there's going to be 3,000, 3,500 Newcastle fans there. They're going to have to be really, really on it now, aren't they? They're going to have to really give us that extra.
Probably not, to be fair. They're playing at the Emirates.
Sorry?
Probably not, to be fair. They're playing at the Emirates.
Ah, that's true. That is true.
It's like a church in there, isn't it? It was great, that PSG game, like how loud they were. The wish.com, you'll never walk alone playing 4 minutes in. All turn to church mice, don't they? So I mean, honestly, I think we could, I don't know, maybe sing a few songs and we'll drown out that lot. And our away fans are absolutely class. Say what you like about particular allocations and stuff, but we do it right in terms of the away support is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't think three blokes on a podcast need to gear that lot up. They'll be bang up for this game.
Hey, I think we could do. I've got some pom poms down here somewhere. Down in the girls' dressing up box, there's a pom. I've got two little.
You should have done that. Do you know lockdown when they had like screens in the match? I think Man City did it, where like you could be a fan from home and they put your face on the seats. Remember that, the old lockdown days? You could have done that with the pom poms, man.
Yeah.
Next time.
You've been in North America too long, Roger, with pom poms.
I know. Tell me about it. Well, it's going crazy here because the Maple Leafs actually made it to Game 7 in the second round of the NHL playoffs, which is like massive.
Wow.
We've got a big game tonight. So the whole of Toronto will come to a standstill, but that's for another time. So having a look at the other results over the weekend, particularly that, I mean, the Forest game, it doesn't really change much for them. Puts them on 65 points. Still keeps them kind of in touch, but they're still in 7th. Obviously, Chelsea, Villa both won on Friday, which does, ramp the pressure up on us. Not to be negative, but do we take the draw and, wipe our mouths and hope for better things against Everton? Or it's a big one. There's a lot of pressure on the players now, but this season, Scott, we seem to have relished the pressure. Do you think that's going to be the case again today?
I mean, I think given the circumstances, you do take a draw, but you would also like to think we could go for this. We can beat these. We've beat them, like I said, 3 times already this season. We know we can beat them. We've beat them down there. So it's such a weird, tricky one to answer because of the fact how things have gone already this season. They do still have something to play for, though, because they can still finish in 6th. And that's mad to think that the team currently in 2nd could still not qualify for Champions League. That's pretty strange. So, they're not just going to turn up and just be like, oh, here's my new home kit. See you later, Emirates. Let's go next season. But, the one thing that a point would give us is probably a guarantee that we'll not drop out of the top 5 because you've got Forest playing Chelsea next week.
Yeah.
And if we can beat, but that does obviously mean that we have to get a result against Everton next week. If we don't win today, I mean, again, we have to beat Everton next week, but it's going to go down to goal difference. And we have a superior goal difference against Villa. That's what you're looking at there, really. And the goal difference is worth a point in itself.
Yeah.
Because Villa ain't going to win 14-0 next week. That's just, that's just how that's going to go down. I mean, I'm saying that now, watch, that'll happen. But, it's very, very, very unlikely that that's going to happen. But it would mean, and, that we'd be going up on, 69 points, I think, if we beat Everton. Yeah. But then so would Chelsea. And I think also
Villa.
Forest would be. I would be Villa would also be on 69.
Villa can get up to 69.
Yeah. Forest. So you would take a point, but I don't want a point. Like you want to go for all 3. Like I'm still going into this thinking we can beat them. So
yeah. Well, just to kind of break slightly from the tension here, Daniel, we've had a question just specifically for you from David Hayes. What hair product does Daniel use on his hair? Spectacular stuff.
I think I'm just using Superdrug's cheap matte clay because VO5 added an extra couple of quid to the cost.
Oh,
Dave
ridiculous.
Lives in Arizona, so Dave, I don't know if they've got a Superdrug out there. Walmart, I'm sure.
Walmart stocks.
I'm sure they sell matte clay.
Pretty much everything. I think Ross Kay possibly might be a mole from the Steve Bruce era. You say our support is class. I've watched the Newcastle games in the past 15 years in Asia. No Isak equals loss. I will not watch. Oh my goodness.
Well, you don't watch them, Ross.
Ross for bringing the
you don't watch them, Ross. No one is forcing you to watch the game. You just enjoy yourself.
Ross, I'm sure there's plenty of other things in Asia that you can entertain yourself with 90 minutes.
Sorry, cowboy. It's probably how late it is over there. I assume you can just go to bed, Ross.
Yeah, maybe it's just turn it in for the night and see what the crack is.
Should we take a look at how SofaScore thinks we're going to line up against
Yeah,
them?
let's have a look.
Oh, yeah, we're gone.
Look at that as well, because this will be fun. It was always, oh, hang on, I've got to remove this and add this. There we go. It was interesting. I mean, I think they've kind of got it bang on this time. Now, obviously, they've got Murphy and Livermore in the midfield, but they've got it a little bit higher. It's still a 3-4-2-1, as opposed to a 5 back. But
that probably will be what it is. I agree with you, Scott. I would like to see Gordon on the right. I think he's better on the right than Barnes is. And I think one of Gordon's major attributes is just running at defenders and sort of winning pens. If we're all honest, he wins fouls and pens. He can do that on the right. He doesn't need any final contribution.
Yeah.
He's got to get fouled. So that works the same on both sides.
Whereas Barnes is Skelly's got a foul in him as well, hasn't he?
Say that again, sorry?
That Lewis Skelly has a foul in him as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I think he's one of two players that hasn't been dribbled past this season in the league, and it's because he's given away so many fouls whenever anyone gets past him. He's obviously got red cards in him. Like Gordon would love that. I think them two going against each other and Murphy, because we know that he likes to give a little bit as well. I'd like to see that those players go up against each other. But Harvey Barnes is legitimately a really good finisher.
Yeah.
And by playing him on the right, we completely diminish the most value he's got. Gordon can still whip a ball in off the right. He played on the right in the home fixture this season, got the assist putting on Isaac's head. So why can't he do that for Wilson? I definitely, for me personally, play Gordon on the right and have Barnes on the left.
Coming, just kind of expanding on that sort of debate around which one of the front 3-4 are going to play in which positions. With Wilson being a bit more of an old school centre forward, I think getting, whipping that ball in from one side, I think Wilson's going to want that. Wilson's going to want somebody to be putting the ball into the box so he can, get on headers, get on, any type of ball in the box. If he's, within 10 yards of goal, you would, more often than not, you will back him to at least hit the target. So, yeah, I think Gordon up against Lewis Skelly is going to be good. I think what I've been impressed with Harvey Barnes, aside from his contributions, I know the last couple of games he's probably dipped a little bit, but he seems to be working a lot harder than he was, when he first started coming into the team. That might have been down to maybe his lack of fitness, but when we have not got the ball, which is gonna happen, I do back Barnes and Gordon to dig in and get back in and get us in solid positions, so that Arsenal find it really difficult to play through us, and they're going to have to hopefully rely on longer shots and things like that to try and break us down. So do you think Botman's got 90 minutes in his legs or his knees, to be more specific?
I don't think he needs it, because Kraft's decent when he comes off the bench. He's proven time and time again, and as we saw in the last game, he's a little bit of a Raji. So I don't think there's any worry with Kraft, to be honest. I
don't love Kraft at centre back. He's
not at centre back, but we can put him on the left or right side of.
Didn't the Cells come on in the last game as well? Was that a thing? I'm sure.
Cells was just on the bench.
He did not come on.
Like seconds, maybe.
He played. I think he played midweek against Celtic in a behind closed door or a under 21s friendly or whatever it was.
So maybe we will see a bit of Lascelles. I don't know, is he on the bench? I can't remember if he's on the bench or not.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he is on the bench. I think Lascelles is.
So maybe it's time for him to come back on if Botman hasn't got the full 90 in him. But I think from what
I don't think he'll risk it. I really don't. I think it's too big a game to risk bringing Lascelles back in after the injuries had against that mobile front four, front three, probably include Odegaard in that as well. So I think obviously it all depends on how the game's going. We might end up with Asula on, but I think eventually we'll probably switch to the back four and bring on he'll bring on Kraft. And I do feel, against Chelsea the second half wasn't great, but when Kraft did come on, I found that we did get back a little bit more control, where we played in a shape that was a bit more a bit more natural to us. And Kraft's, he's one of these players. He's really never let us down. Really, it's only his injuries that have probably hampered his progress under Howe. But
he's been better since he come back from injury.
Yeah,
you could argue as well. Since he came back, he's been a better player. There's a question came in from Blue Rhythm Boys, mentioned it a couple of times, but if we had more wing back options, do you reckon Gordon would have started up front and it wouldn't have been Wilson? Or do you think it would have been Wilson starting and we would have just went for something like this and it would have been more Murphy would have been sacrificed, or it would have been Barnes who would have lost his place in Murphy and Gordon coming up?
I'm not sure about wing back options necessarily. I think it's more so flat out wing options. Because I think Murphy and I don't know. Yeah, do you think maybe like if we had a different right wing back, then maybe Murphy moves up to where Barnes is, and then Gordon could go up and Barnes could play on the left? Yeah, potentially. So I think if we had another winger or another wing back, then yeah, potentially. I suppose it just depends on the game plan, which none of us really know. Eddie Howe's going to go for. If you want balls into the box, Gordon's not your man at all. If you want to play some level of possessions football or keep the ball on the deck, maybe the high press, then yeah, Gordon could do that. He likes getting behind. But again, in the box, it's night and day between who I'm backing between Wilson and Gordon to score. Night and day.
Let's have a quick look, Scott. You did the really good preview show. I watched that just earlier on today. We had the 4 predictions. I'll come to yours last, Scott. We even had some mentions of some goal scorers, which will definitely have to be revisited. Joe had a 1-1. Daryl also went with a 1s each. He joined you twice in. It was like the multiverse joining you. It was like high vis Daryl, and then in St James's Park Daryl. So you had 2 versions of the one man. They both stuck to the same score. Nickel, who's down there, I believe, is that right, Scott? I think Nickel's down at the game.
He's looking for a pub.
He went with a 2-1 victory, and I think he even sort of went for. I think he might have went for Isak. Possibly, was it a Shaw free kick? He might have went for.
He did say Shaw, yeah.
And Scott, you went with a 1-0, and you went with Miley. Interesting thinking. So, Scott, I guess you're the only one who's joined us who made that initial prediction. Has that changed? Are you still feeling, that might be the case?
I think the goal scorer has definitely changed because Miley isn't starting. Although I think if he comes on later on, it could be still a bit of a scrappy game. But yeah, I still like I said earlier, I still won 3 points, so I'm still go with the win. And I think it will be one of those ones where we're potentially holding on for dear life at this. I think it'll be a lot of Arsenal with the ball, a lot of Arsenal attack, and we're defending. We may see a return to the 0 up top and 5 at the back and 5 in midfield, or even more at the back at times with this one. But no, I think we'll give them a good game actually to begin with, and it may just be as the game goes on, as if they start playing, like they did against Real Madrid, let's say, in the Champions League, which there's every chance that Arsenal could turn up. We may have to dig deep.
Batten down the hatches.
Yeah, we may have to batten down the hatches, and I'm sorry for bringing that up, but that there's a possibility that could happen. But I do think we've got the personnel on the pitch that can catch them on a massive counter attack if they do that. And let's back Wilson. Let's get Wilson on the score sheet. Let's get him a 150th goal. I'll stick with 1-0.
Nice one.
Win, by the way.
A 1-0 win. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Won't be an own goal from Wilson.
Yeah, not a Miley own goal. Honestly, I'm absolutely. My arse is twitching like a rabbit's nose. Dan, come on then. We'll get a prediction from you, my man. What do you think?
My head's saying, just because, is the lads alluded to in the preview, Arsenal are draw merchants. And I think it sets it up perfectly for the last day for neutrals and for Sky. Probably 0-0, but my heart says 1-0. I don't know who's going to score. I feel like Murphy's going to be involved, whether it's a goal or an assist.
Right.
But that's my heart says 1-0 to the tune.
Okay, before I commit to mine, any predictions from our live people who are
Just
joining
one
us
so
today.
far.
What have we got?
Tony Timebridge says 2-2.
Got 2-2 from Cheryl. Is that Cheryl Cole?
It's Cheryl Cole.
It's the Cheryl Cole.
The Cheryl Cole. Thank you very
Cheryl
much
Cole
for
with-
joining us,
with the
Cheryl.
Carabao Cup as well.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. Thank you, Cheryl. That's me Cheryl Cole impersonation, but that's not great.
Andy says 1's a piece.
Yeah. I'll take some goal scorers as well if anybody's got any. We haven't had any sort of infiltration apart from maybe Ross before from any Arsenal fans. Because remember last time, Scott, what were the famous last words of our friend, the Chelsea fan? What did he say?
He said that
about being press resistant.
He said
Press resistant.
Lavia's press
press
resistant, so don't bother trying.
Yeah.
Within 3 minutes, he gets robbed.
He gets pressed in. He's in. So we've gone 5-0 to the lads from Connor.
Wilson hat-trick. There we go.
Come on, Connor. This is what I like to see. Some positivity. Isak a huge blow, but still think the lads get a point. 1-1.
Get in.
So I'm actually coming back for the last game of the season next week. So I don't know whether I want anything riding on it, to be perfectly honest with you, because the sweetness of securing it when I'm there would be amazing, but I'm not sure my nerves from this point until match day on Sunday. I'm not sure my nerves would be able to take it. I've been all over the house doing all sorts of stuff this morning, trying to push out this nervous energy. We've got Ian's gone with a 3-0. Murphy, anytime.
We're not a bookies, Ian.
And actually, Ian was calling for the return of extra time the other day, which is he was going back to the archives of extra time. I think
not just the other day. He's asking for it today.
Oh, right, okay.
He's scrapping off Canny Chatter, and he wants you back.
Oh, is that right? I don't know. The time difference is a bit of a difficult one for me with doing extra time, but maybe we could record it. Let's see. Any other ones? We've got Murphy. Yeah, we've got a couple of 1-1s in there.
Yeah,
so
lots of positivity. It's what we like to see.
The absence of Isak hasn't ended any optimism that is amongst the fan base, which is really good to hear. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win. I'm not hugely confident of that, but I'm just gonna something's telling me a 2-1 win. I was feeling very negative about it this morning.
We got it right last week, lads. Let's hope that one of us got it right this week.
It could be the winning. We could have a winning run going on here, with these predictions and this.
Two have said 2-0 last week. 2 have said 1-0 this week. So hopefully majority rules again.
We can continue that good fortune. Lads, we might as well wrap it up there. Give people 15 minutes to get their beers in, get comfortable, get the kids on the iPads, which is what I'll be doing. My wife's in Benidorm currently, and she'll be watching it. I think she's watching it in the Brit Bar or something in Benaz. So she's got cheesy chips and gravy with her mother. So I'm sure she's happy.
Very nice.
So lads, let's bring our positivity. Let's hopefully see the lads bring it to them today, so that Everton game is just a celebration. Thanks again for joining us, all the people who've joined us live and the comments there. I really appreciate it. Getting some really good numbers. So hopefully I won't be doing one next week, but I don't know whether Scott might be doing a pre-game next week. Hopefully everything's tied up like a beautiful, nice shoelace by then, but you never know. Make sure you like and subscribe to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. They've got plenty amazing content coming out. Those match previews, I'm sure there'll be a big one just before the Everton game. There'll be Between the Lines with Matty, and obviously the Always Smiling Faces podcast, our flagship show. I'm sure they'll do one this week, and I'm sure there'll be an end of season where I think they'll be opening up their envelopes, I believe. That'll be that'll be coming up soon as well. So once again, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you to you, Scott, and thank you to you, Dan. Really appreciate you joining us, despite your technical challenges.
Yeah, got there in the end. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
No problem at all. Maybe for the next 15 minutes, Scott, Dan, you can go to the back of the room there, and you can maybe knock out a tune on the piano.
A little jingle.
Yeah, a little tinkle on the ivories there. But once again, hopefully the lads can bring it home. I'm sure the teams will be in the tunnel So enjoy the game, everybody, and we'll see you next time. It might be this show next season. Who knows? Take care, everybody. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Come on!
The Gallowgate Shots podcast is sponsored by TyreSpot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. TyreSpot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.